We're the MMA analysts. Let's finally give our opinion on Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. I'm Julian.
I'm Calvin.
It's finally here. We've waited a long time for this. I'm sure you all feel the same. Jon Jones was going down as the biggest duck of all time, and now I guess he won't be, even though he kind of still was ducking him and low-key wanted to fight Alex Pereira. But anyway, we don't need to talk about any of that.
Hello, John. It's finally happening. I am so excited for this. It really sounds like it's official this time, guys. This has been a crazy build-up. This has been wild to see one of the so-called GOATs of the sport avoid him and not even mention his name. Pretty wild stuff to see. Never thought I'd live to see that, but it's happening. Tom Aspinall has said in his YouTube channel, and so is Dana, it sounds like Jon's side is finally coming to the table and this fight is going to happen. And supposedly for the summer, my guess is International Fight Week in June.
Yeah, and lucky for Tom fans, I would say this fight is pretty cut and dry. A lot of people I've been seeing recently say it's a very close fight, very 50-50, even though people used to just be saying like Tom Aspinall steamrolls Jon Jones. I'm just going to put it out there. I think Tom Aspinall does steamroll Jon Jones, and I think that Jon Jones is far past his prime. I think Tom is just entering his prime, and I think that's actually a big part of it too. Like, if Jon was in his prime here, I would probably give him a little more credit, but current Jon, how he looked against Stipe, I'm sorry, first round KO. I mean, I don't think Jon has anything for Tom.
I agree. I think if you rewatch Tom Aspinall's last two fights, Sergey Pavlovich and Curtis Blades, two of the top-ranked people in the sport, in his division, he steamrolled those guys. And those guys have been competing heavyweight. Sergey Pavlovich was on a 5 or 6 fight first-round KO streak. Curtis Blades has put together multiple streaks and fought for the title multiple times, I think, now. So, yeah, and he was fighting for an interim belt. And we finally saw Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades, the rematch where he doesn't get injured. He KO'd Curtis Blades really bad, like really bad.
He dropped him with a jab.
Dropped him with a jab, just a straight jab right on the money. I mean, it landed perfectly. And Curtis went down. And I just watched Jon Jones fight an old man coming to the ring who had a limp the last time I saw him walk to the octagon and was just barely hiding one when he was coming to the fight with Jon Jones. 42-year-old Stipe Miocic, who is not trained, is just abysmal. And the fact that it went 3 rounds is a disgrace. He was landing hands. He landed combinations on Jon where Jon literally had to turn and run. What are we doing here, guys? Come on. Stipe would not last a second with Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall is just bigger, stronger, younger, and he's more well-rounded than Jon Jones was. Jon Jones has really good wrestling and really good ground and pound, and he has really good eye pokes that are really far with a really long reach. He has never had good striking. He's been pieced up multiple times. He has good elbows, he has good clinch work, and he has good takedowns and ground and pound. That's always what he's had. That's not going to work against Tom Aspinall. Are you seeing the size difference between these two people? Just look at their face-off they once had, and that's when Jon Jones was bigger. This is not a close fight, guys. I think Tom Aspinall is going to steamroll him. I think we're really going to see that age matters. But also more so, I think we're going to finally reveal that Jon Jones is just never that good. I'm sorry. He was good at one point as a martial artist, but I just don't believe in how great he was at martial arts when he was on PEDs for, I think, most of his career. And against competition that wasn't really as big as him or as long as him. I think Jon Jones is a very skilled fighter. I'm not saying that. I think he's one of the most skilled in the sport. I just don't think he's a GOAT in any regard. And I think that Tom Aspinall is going to show that really easily.
I agree. I think that Jon is really easy to roast, of course, but I actually do want to discuss the wrestling because I see a lot of people thinking that Jon Jones is going to win this fight with the wrestling. And I see a lot of people acting like Jon Jones can just Hamzat Tom Aspinall, like they just assume that he'll figure it out. You know, what do they say? Like, oh, you know, Jon will find a way. You know, he always finds a way because there's massive fight IQ. Fight IQ can only take you so far. I think I actually think Jon's fight IQ is high, and I think that's the reason he didn't want this fight. I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. Like, Jon does have good fight IQ. That's why he wanted to fight Alex over Tom. That's why we didn't hear about Tom until Alex lost to Ankalaev. I just think that in terms of the wrestling, yes, does Jon have better technical wrestling in terms of a wrestling match in his prime than Tom Aspinall does currently? Yes, you're probably right about that, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be able to out-wrestle or out-grapple Tom at all. The weight discrepancy you mentioned, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and wrestling advantage, I think actually will be going to Tom in this fight because he currently trains it more. He's been training jiu-jitsu his entire life. He's actually really good on the ground, and no one really gets how good on the ground he is because heavyweight's kind of, you know, low-skilled, but I just don't see Jon doing anything to Tom on the ground. I think that Tom's going to be able to stop the takedowns, and I think that if anyone gets a takedown in this fight, it's going to be Tom Aspinall. I mean, I don't see Jon stopping the crazy bulldozer rugby tackle Tom does. Like, I don't know, I just think that a lot of people really are giving too much credence to Jon's wrestling, especially now when he's older, slower, probably not on steroids anymore. he's just not going to do what he used to be able to do against a much bigger, skilled, active guy.
Guys, please just watch Jon Jones versus Cyril Gane and Stipe Miocic, and watch Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich and Curtis Blades, and you tell me what you think.
It's pretty clear. And Volkov, too. I'm sorry, Volkov would be champ. Volkov is a heavyweight, one of the best heavyweights
Just beat Cyril Gane.
all time. Clearly beat Cyril Gane, one of the best heavyweights to ever compete in the sport, Volkov is. And Tom smoked him like everybody else. I'm sorry. I think Volkov probably beats Jon, too. I mean, I just don't think Jon is in the game right now. I think he's past his time. I think that he just thought he could get an easy win with Alex Pereira, and now he has to fight Tom because otherwise it'll look bad. That's kind of how I see this fight, honestly.
I 100% agree. Guys, this is just our little preview into this. We're going to cover this more closely as we find out exactly what card is going to be on, what that card is shaping up to be, and of course, as it gets closer. We're really excited. I cannot wait for this fight. It seemed like it would most likely not happen for a long time, but the fact it seems like it's coming together. Jon Jones, if you can say one thing about him, it's that if he does take this fight, he's not the sport's worst duck. That'll be it for us, you guys. Thanks for stopping in.
See you next time.
Tally ho.